Welcome to Bear With Us, the podcast where two women bravely explore the High Line.
One charming town and quirky event at a time.
We're here for the people, the stories, and the small moments that make this place special.
And don't worry, zero bears.
Probably. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bear With Us, a podcast brought to you by Bear Paw Development to discuss all things community, connection, and the good work happening across our region. I'm Julia.
And I'm Sarah. Today we're excited to be joined by Heather DePriest, board president of Chinook's Friends of the Pool and Park, here to discuss the exciting work being done to expand the pool and the upcoming BrewFest.
Heather,
Hi.
welcome to Bear With Us.
Thank you.
Now, first and foremost, we have a very serious question for you right off the bat. If you had a pet grizzly bear, what would you name it?
And you can't say Monty because that's cheating and a terrible name.
Oh, oh man, that's tough. Yogi. Yogi.
Yeah.
I mean, he's famous.
That's fair. Yogi has made a lot of, on our 2 episodes. I think he's made a presence on each one. So that's,
And
he
we
must be
like
special.
Yogi.
So tell us just a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, favorite ice cream flavor, whatever's
About
come
your
to mind.
family.
Well, I was born and raised in Chinook, Montana, and I graduated from Chinook High School about 25 years ago, or give or take. And so I'm a business owner in town with my husband Scott. We own American Garage, and I'm also the head of the Friends of the Pool and Park Foundation, and so it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. Our family has been in the swimming world forever, very long time actually. I myself did not swim competitively, but my husband and his entire family did. So it's an important thing for our family to see the pool stay functioning, I guess.
That is really, really cool. I had siblings that were swimmers in high school, and while I also did not swim myself, I did get to see how deep that runs. The love for swimming, it just seems to never go away. So
Yes.
that's really, really exciting.
I can
Yes.
float. That's about the extent
That's
of my
fair.
abilities.
Same here.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to get involved with the Friends of the Pool and the Park?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. Back in 2020, my kids came home with, actually, it was 2019. They came home with a chunk of the pool in their hand. And I was home that day. They walked in the door. They're like, "Look, Mom." I went, "Where'd you get that?" And they said, "Well, it was in the bottom of the pool." And I said, "Really? That's interesting." So the next day, I think it was a Friday when they came home with this chunk of the pool. Saturday, I went down to the pool with the family, and I just kind of looked at it and went, "Wow, this is bad. Like, it's cracking. There's some serious issues here that really need to be addressed."
Like they had a chunk of concrete, or
It was a chunk of the sidewall of the pool.
Oh.
Is what it was.
Oh,
And
no.
it's just it was like a little piece of the pool, and it had fallen off and fell into the bottom of the pool. And so I at that point kind of thought, well, gosh, somebody needs to look at this. Like, if we don't do something with this is going to become a big problem. So we went down to the pool that Saturday afternoon, and then the following week I reached out to the mayor in Chinook and I said, "Hey, can you call me when the pool is empty in the spring? I want to look at the condition of it without water in it." And so my husband and I went down there the following spring, which happened to be 2020, and we looked at the pool, and I was floored at the condition of it. And at that point, I was like, somebody has to do something with this. And we're very heavily involved in the swimming program there. So I said, okay, well, what can we do about this? What can be done to make sure that this doesn't become a bigger problem, right? So that summer, we were at a swim meet down in Lewistown, and Lewistown recently redid their pool within the last 10 years or so, give or take. And it's amazing. If you've never been to the Lewistown pool, you definitely should go. It's awesome.
they did a lot.
They did. It's
Like, they have a whole
it's
water
beautiful.
park now, don't they? Or was that donated separately, or
No, that was actually fundraised through their entire project. Our grant writer is actually the same grant writer that worked on that project as has with ours, and so she was heavily involved in that entire project, and it was a culmination of grant money, culmination of tax money, all the things that kind of went into that, donations. Yeah, so anyway, we went down there and they had a meeting because they had kind of recently finished their pool, and they had a meeting after the swim meet one day that's, just kind of went through how they completed their project and how they got it completed. And so we decided that we wanted to kind of help. So I put a post on Facebook and I said, "Hey, friends, anybody want to join me in this great adventure?"
and that's how it was named.
I like it.
And so that's how it was named. So we held a meeting that following fall, in the fall of 2020, and we formally organized in 21, and we just created the foundation with a bunch of driven people, I guess, more or less, that just have had passion in their hearts for the pool and park. So it's pretty incredible story, actually.
When you went to the mayor and you said, I want to take a look at this pool dry, did you have any experience? I mean, with pool maintenance? Had you had any past history in that?
No, I had no history with pools at all, aside from swimming in one, right? you know, and I felt like if somebody didn't get involved, that it was going to become a big problem. And I feel like I'm 100% correct in that. Our group has worked so hard to fundraise for our project, and they have been incredible in this process. I know that the city, though, obviously pools do not make money, right? They're only open 3 months out of the year in Montana. How do you make money on something 3 months out of the year? You just don't, right? So I just decided at that point that, if something didn't happen, that we risk losing it. And I just couldn't see that happen.
And I
So
think that's something we're seeing a lot in these smaller communities in our area. And as somebody who, we work in economic development, pools are so hard to find funding for. Like, let it be known that Julie and I die a little inside whenever a pool project comes to our table because we're like, I don't know what to
And
do.
and we probably get a call about pools once a week.
They're so
They're
expensive.
so expensive. I got to look at a PER for a pool today, a preliminary engineering report. And in order to make the pool usable for the next 20 years, they're going to have to put at least 1.2 million
Yeah.
in, up to 5.
And
That's a
these
lot
local
of
communities
money.
don't have that money. So having a foundation, and you guys are an active foundation too. You do a lot.
Yeah, which so obviously you're the one that reached out on Facebook to say, "Hey friends,
yeah.
who wants to help with this?" So did that just naturally move into you being the president of that board, or did you get elected? Kind of tell us about that process.
We met as a group, kind of. We just held a public meeting and just said, "Hey, if anybody has any interest in joining the board, we want you to come." So the meeting was held, brainstormed, the community kind of, came and brainstormed, I guess. And at that point, we decided to form a foundation. And as the people that were interested in being on the board, they were like, "Here you go. We want you as president." We're like, "Okay." So here it
You were
is. I
voluntold.
was voluntold, but it was sort of my brainchild. So I'm kind of like, all right, it has
Fair.
been, yes, over the years, it has been kind of a little bit of a, I guess you would call it my baby in that manner. I mean, I've taken it and ran with it and formed the board, and the board has been incredible. I've got a great board of directors, just wonderful people who are very like-minded when it comes to their commonality, when it's the goal of the community. And it's hard to get that done in small towns at times. And so I'm very, very grateful for all of our board members because they have been so integral in this entire process. So,
That is something that you bring up here. That's very, very true. It is hard to get a board together, for one, get everyone in the same room, and then to get anyone to make a decision on anything is
It can be challenging.
extremely
Yeah.
challenging. So that is so nice that you have people that want to help and are excited about it and can actually move things forward.
yes, and our board is a group of people in many different industries too. We have the extension agent in Chinook as one of our board members. We've got the bank president. We've got a couple of teachers, a librarian. It's just we've got business owners. We've got the health department person. It just all ranges of people from just it's just been phenomenal to work with them because they have all had great ideas, great insight, great, differing thought processes on things. And they've been so wonderful to work with. Everyone gets along great. We're all working towards the same goal. Everyone helps and is involved in everything. So it's really special. It's been, I've been involved in a lot of boards over the years. I was the head of the Chamber of Commerce in Chinook for many years. I always felt like sometimes when I was on the chamber that I had a support system, but it wasn't always there for me. Kind of when it came to like actually doing things. Our board for the Friends of the Pool, they're always there. They are always willing to lend a hand. They are phenomenal. So I'm so blessed for that. So
And
Amazing.
the town technically owns the pool and the park, correct?
the city of
The
Chinook,
city.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
And are they pretty easy to work with, let you guys kind of have full reign on what you're wanting to do?
No, so they actually are wonderful to work with too. We've had no major problems with the city of Chinook. They've been wonderful in this process. They own the pool, they manage the pool, they run the pool. Obviously, we are here to support that, and so that's our main goal is to be their support system as far as the financial side of it, fundraising to get this done. And as you said earlier, there are no grants out there, hardly any grants out there
Oh,
for
so
pools.
hard.
And it's so hard to get that across to people. When we first started this and we had our PER done, our preliminary engineering review, it came back that back in 2021 that our pool is going to cost 1.55 million just to repair. And the community freaked out over that.
Sticker shock.
They were like, "How could it cost 1.55 million to fix the pool?" And honestly, if I hadn't been involved in the process, I probably would have felt the same way because it's just a lot of money, right? You just, how do you come up with that kind of money to fix a pool? And after learning more about the process and working with our engineer on all of this, I've learned more than I ever thought I would ever need to know about a pool. But it's been interesting to see how that has shifted, with our board. We now all of us understand it. We're trying to get the community to understand it as well. And that's challenging at times. So
Do you face any pushback with the community, like when they see that price tag, and they're like 1.5 million? What I mean, do we really even need a pool? But then if you were to not have a pool, do you feel
Why
like
do we have a pool?
yeah, do you feel like you would have that outrage?
yes, yes. So I did get a lot of pushback when it came to the bond. That was our probably our least favorite part of this entire project. We we really did not have a choice other than to run a bond, just because of the fact that they are so expensive, and how do you come up with match for any grants and in that kind of figures? You run into the $1 to $1.5 million range. I mean, where do you come up with that kind of money? It's just not possible to fundraise for that to get it out of the community. So it's interesting at times to see the perspective of the community. What has kind of surprised me a little bit on the pushback side of it, people that I thought would fully support the project haven't,
Oh,
Oh.
and people that I didn't think that would support the project have. A lot of our donations and funding that has come in has been local people, but also afar. A lot of alumni, a lot of people that used to live in Chinook that loved the pool, that wanted to see it, succeed. Those are the people that have came out of the woodwork in droves, and it's very humbling. It's been such a unique experience for us, for sure.
Well, and the pool has been such a central thing for Chinook for many years. Um, and it's in the park, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the Sweet
Sweet
Park
Park.
and the Sweet Pool.
Mhm.
Sweet is everywhere in
Yes.
Chinook. Is that a family? Is it where does this come from?
So Lloyd Sweet and his family lived in Chinook way back when, and he graduated from Chinook High School. He then went to Stanford University, graduated from there, got into the auto parts business, and also did a lot of investing, from what I understand. And he was very integral in Chinook. He didn't live in Chinook a long time, but then once he moved away, made his fortune, then he donated that a lot of that money back to the community of Chinook. So you'll see Sweet everywhere. Sweet Home, Sweet Memorial Nursing Home is named after him. Sweet Medical Center was helped on the funding side, from what I understand, by him. He's everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
so he also has the Scholarship Foundation in Chinook as well. He passed away years ago and did not have any children, and left his fortune pretty much to the Scholarship Foundation and the different things that he donated money to in Chinook.
Wow,
That's
yeah. I
amazing.
never knew that.
No, I didn't either. I always saw that name on everything and I always wondered what it came from, but that is so cool. I think a lot of people forget sometimes that it does take people like that, who love a community, whether they still live there when they pass or not, but to be able to give back to that community that they really love, to be able to keep things going, because I'm sure without him, a lot of these things just wouldn't exist, period.
Right.
That's
Yes.
really, really nice and amazing of him.
So awesome.
What
I
a good
mean,
legacy.
yes, what a legacy he left. Really, he did. I mean, he's such a huge benefactor for Chinook, and he still is to this day.
Yeah,
I
lives on
mean,
through the scholarship.
through the scholarship program, I mean, almost every one of the Chinook High School students that wants to go into a, post education, his scholarship foundation, will range between 3 and 5, $6,000 per student, per year, that
Per
they
year.
That's a
per
great
year
scholarship.
that they can apply for. It's pretty incredible. I'm not super familiar with exact dollars on that, but I do know that he's made a huge impact in Chinook.
Well, thanks, Lloyd Sweet.
Yeah.
Hopefully, someone else from Chinook will also do that later in their lives.
Right.
Someday,
I would
yes.
love to be that person someday.
Oh,
Just gotta make that fortune
yeah.
first.
Right.
Write more grants. Let's
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yes.
So you talked about the donors that have come out of your community in Chinook. Um, I know that Chinook community is not the only community that supports that pool. I know a lot of people from Haver. I know a lot of people that come down from the High Line that use the pool. Have you guys seen much of outside donations?
We've seen a lot of sponsorships from the businesses in Haver. They've been wonderful on that realm of things. As far as, outside donations that are, not from Chinook, I would say that a lot of like 95% of the donations that we have received have some sort of tie to Chinook, whether they graduated there, they have family there, any of that type of connection to Chinook has been really what has been a huge chunk of our donations. So yeah, it's been phenomenal.
So what are we've talked a lot about the foundation and how, what you guys do to keep things going. What are some of the exciting projects or things you have planned for the pool?
So the pool is actually starting construction in a few weeks.
Ooh.
August 1st, the will be the last day of the pool being open. And after that, construction is commencing. So the city, we have a approval from the city, and The contractor that is doing the pool is named Corlin Construction. They're based out of Sydney, Montana, and they are specific to pool projects for the most part. Pools are not an easy construction project,
You mean
right?
there's not specialists in northern Montana that deal with
Right,
pools?
With
right.
outdoor pools specifically?
Outdoor pools, yes. I mean, there's so much that goes along with the construction phase of it. And we opened it up for bids through the city of Chinook. I believe there were 3 bids that were placed on the project. One from Glasgow, one from not Glasgow, I'm sorry, one from Great Falls, one from Sydney, and I believe one from Medicine Hat.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
international.
Wow.
So I think those were the only 3, don't quote me on that, but I think those were the only 3 bids that came in for the project. And in a nutshell, the one from Sydney was one that we were aware of that had experience in pools, and we were very happy with the bid, and so the city approved it, and now it's starting construction, which is just so amazing for us. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a lot of our donors, our business donors, those types of things. So it's been pretty phenomenal.
What a
Wow.
collaboration on that.
That is so cool. Also, I do want to say something to anybody listening to this podcast, because I know that August is a hot month. I know that people want to swim. But one thing that we are big advocates here at Bear Pot is letting people know that construction is not something to complain about. This is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. There are only so many months in a year here in Montana that we can construct things. So please be patient.
Yes.
We want this construction done, and it's so exciting.
It's a short-term inconvenience.
Short-term
Yeah.
inconvenience.
Exactly.
What all is going to be done in this is this a first phase, or is there more planned?
Yes, this is the first phase. So this is phase A of our project. And ultimately with this project, we will be rehabilitating the gutter system that surrounds the pool. We will be adding in a 0 depth entrance to the pool, which is it's sort of like a beach effect.
Yeah, I love
If you're
those.
familiar with those. Yeah.
Oh, that is so nice for people that have really little kids.
Yes, yes. So Chinook has a baby pool, and the baby pool has been consistently having issues for years, and so it's going to be nice to have this 0 depth entrance, which will be similar to having the baby pool, with the ability to utilize the same pool body water. So it'll be great. It'll be so nice to have that. The kids are gonna love it. Little kids, big kids, every kid loves it.
I'm going to go sit on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you can kind of sunbathe, but still be in the
Yes,
water.
still be in the
right?
water. Yes, so it's gonna be pretty phenomenal. So that'll exit the pool on the southwest corner. And then we're also going to be redoing piping and such around the pool. Some of the piping is having issues underneath the pool, so we're removing that piping, putting in new piping on the sidewalls, repairing the cracking that's happening in the pool. Um, we're going to be doing a new liner in the pool that will supposedly last for many, many years, from what I understand. It's a weldable liner, so if there's
Oh.
any issues with the pool wall getting cut for any reason, it's a super thick material made out of plastic, essentially, and that material is weldable if there's ever any nicks in it, cuts in it, things like that. So it's a pretty neat product, and you can't put them in pools that have cracked too significantly. So Chinook is right on that edge.
You just got
right
in there.
Our engineer has told us multiple times that if we hadn't stepped in and done what we have done so far, that we would be looking over 3.3 million, and that was back in 2021, just to replace
Ooh.
our pool.
Meaning
Much
6
higher now.
million
Yeah.
now.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
And let that be a lesson to people. If you see something that is deteriorating in your communities, get involved now, because it's only going to deteriorate more and it's only going to cost more.
Exactly.
Fix it now.
Yes, exactly. So we were happy that, even this year our pool's having some issues, and we're just happy that it's happening now, that we're not running into any more major concerns to the point where what we're planning on doing is not going to work. And so it's pretty incredible that we're starting on it now, and it's going to be fixed for the next 30 years, hopefully.
Are you gonna do like some videos and photography and that kind of a thing while construction's going on?
Yeah.
I've seen some videos of pool liners getting put in, and I think it's such a cool process. I've never heard of this weldable one, so that's really exciting.
Yes.
But I would love to see kind of a phased
Do you geek
video
out on
or
them?
oh, I
Like
really
the
do.
cookie decorating videos when you're doom
Absolutely.
scrolling?
But
Yeah.
anything to do with construction projects, I love a time lapse video. It just really, really warms my heart.
Yeah. Yes.
So that would be really
We
cool to
do
see.
plan to do a lot of that. We're also going to do a shovel dig, which will be
Oh,
fun
ceremony.
with our swim team. So because
Cute.
the swimming pool is such an important part of our swim team. We Chinook's got a pretty powerful swim team. Like there's a lot of state champions that come out of there. And so for us to be able to continue the ability for these kids to continue to swim, that makes a big difference for us. And so we're going to have the swim team there, and any community kids that want to join in to just be a part of the shovel dig picture. So that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, so it's going to be awesome. Yeah.
So is this project or your board in general, are you guys facing any current challenges or any issues
Everything's
that you
smooth
foresee?
sailing.
Yeah.
So far it's smooth sailing. Of course, you never know what you're going to run into when you start construction. Um, yes, I was told by a local contractor that there may be an existing pool well in the parking lot just to the south of the pool. Years ago, back in the late 60s, their early 70s, there was a diving well, from what I understand, in the Chinook pool.
What is a diving well?
So it's a deep well, pretty much, that allows them to do figurative diving. And so it was kind of a thing,
That sounds really
right?
scary.
Like Olympic style?
Yeah, so
Oh.
it's just a big deep well, and so from what I understand, that might still be in the ground over there. So we don't know for sure what we're going to run into with that yet. So that's kind of one of the questions we have. We'll see what happens when they start excavating over there. Yeah, you
Just
just
cross
never
your
know.
fingers.
Yeah, cross your
Yeah.
fingers. We're hoping that we don't have any major hiccups, anything of that nature. But construction is slated to start August 1st, and it's slated to be completed by June 1st. So our goal was to not lose a season of the pool. We will be losing several weeks of the pool this year, but our goal is to prevent any closure for a season.
That's ideal. You have to factor in weather up here
Yes.
when you're
Yeah.
doing construction.
Right.
It's so
Um,
hard.
Since you are sitting down with two grant writers, I feel like we would be remiss if we did not ask you. We see that you have a partnership with the Browning Kimball Foundation.
We do. We received some funding already from the Browning Kimball Foundation, and we are so grateful for them.
And can you explain what the Browning Kimball Foundation is?
So ultimately, from what I understand, it's the Browning Rifle family, the family that owns the Browning Rifle Company, and they have been phenomenal. They actually came up and met with us, went down to the pool, checked the pool out. It was so neat to be able to have a conversation with them, to talk to them, to explain to them what we're trying to do and what our challenges are when it comes to funding and grant funding. Obviously, they're hard to get for pools, as you know. And so it was awesome to meet with them. They donated a significant amount of money to us, and then they actually came back after the fact and said, we're going to challenge you. If you can match $50,000, we'll give you another 50,000. And so that was pretty incredible. To date, I want to say we're at 39,000 something that we have raised of their match. So we're hoping after our BrewFest happens in a few weeks that we'll be able to 100% meet their match.
And I think that's a good transition from pools to something near and dear to my heart, Let's talk about BrewFest.
Yes.
Yes. I love me a good
This
BrewFest.
is so exciting. Yeah, BrewFests are amazing and very coveted up here.
Yes. We started our BrewFest back in 2019. It was actually one of my board members that's a part of our board came to me and she said, "Hey, the all class reunion is happening," and this was prior to us even founding the board. And she's like, "Hey, the all class reunion is happening. Do you wanna do a BrewFest?" I'm like, well, that sounds fun. Let's do it. Why not? Right?
They are
So,
fun.
yeah, so we did. And it was a huge success. We ran out of beer within the first hour. Like there was tons of people there. Of course, the reunion was happening, and the all class reunion in Chinook is kind of it's a very coveted thing. It's a huge ordeal, and so that event in and of itself draws a lot of people just from across the country to the
That's
world.
awesome.
But it's pretty fun to see. So yeah, we had a huge turnout. I actually at that brew fest, I stood up on a chair at the event and took a panoramic video of all the people that were there. And in Sweet Park, there was nowhere to stand. It was massive.
Wow.
Yeah. So at that point, we knew that, man, that's kind of something we should maybe keep doing. so, so after we fully formed, of course, when 2020 hit, we didn't do anything that year. But we did start up our BrewFest again in 2021, and it's been going strong ever since.
I was there at that one.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I consider myself a bit of an expert on the topic. For those listening who don't know, Montana ranks #2 per capita for breweries in the nation.
Oh.
There's a lot of breweries, and I know this because there's a passport that you can have, and you can get a stamp at every brewery. And my husband and I have completed the passport.
That's awesome. You
So,
are an expert.
I love me some breweries. I
That's
think it's
awesome.
super fun. You guys always have such a fun selection. A lot of these local breweries are just so great to jump in on a cause like this. So I have enjoyed it. I only was able to make it to the one so far, but
Okay, cool.
they are a good time.
They are.
Yeah.
And they're great because you can bring your family. They're typically just fun events. Do you guys have very family friendly things
We
that go
do.
on? I
We
love
do.
that.
Yes.
And so is it still in Sweet Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It will always be in Sweet Park. We just, over the years we've changed the dates of it quite a bit. We tried to incorporate it with the Sugar Beet Festival, which happens in Chinook in the fall, and it was almost a little too chilly and cold at that point, so then we decided, well, okay, let's move it to a different day to try to figure it out. So we went into, I think one year we had it October 1st, and then the years after that we went into September. We finally ended up in July. Just because of the cold factor. We don't want people freezing. We've had rainy ones where people are troopers and they're there even through the rain. So
Montanans like their beer.
Yes.
We will make it work.
right. So we decided, maybe July. July sounds fun.
So what is the official date this year?
July 12th.
July 12th.
Yes.
Everybody go, and can you get your tickets early?
Yep. You can go online to chinookfriends.org/brewfest, and there's places to go and get your tickets ahead of time, skip the lines, and start drinking your beer early.
Heck yeah, we
So,
like that.
What can we
Yes.
expect from this BrewFest? Any food, live music, anything to look forward to?
Yes. So there's live music. We have the Stone Broke String Band doing live music. I don't know if you've ever heard them.
I have. They're
Fun.
fantastic.
They're
Yes.
amazing. Fiddlers. I mean, it's really fun. They have been donating their time at our BrewFest since it started back in 2019, and they're phenomenal. They're all, people from Chinook, and so that's kind of, pretty special to us. And so we're very grateful for them for that. And so there will be live music, of course. And there's food this year. There's going to be hot dogs, chips, acai bowls. We're gonna have root beer to give away, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll have so much fun. There's also a silent auction happening, and we do Jean Kokler in Chinook has been a huge supporter of our project as well, and she is donating some different things for the skate park this year. So there's like skateboards and a little RC car and different things. So it's pretty great. In the past, she's donated bikes and different things, and so there's kids giveaways that are happening during the event. So it's a wonderful time. It's tons of fun.
That is so cool. So is this your foundation's biggest fundraiser and most successful, I assume?
Yes, yes. This is our main one that we do every single year, and we have since 2020 or 2019, I guess.
Would you
Yeah.
mind sharing with us how much you guys hope to raise?
Usually, our goal is to raise about $12,000. Is 12 to 15,000 is what we bring in every year between sponsorships, silent auction, money coming in, and then also, just through our beer sales. So it's a pretty great event for us. Yeah.
That's a big fundraiser.
It is. It is. It's very, very great. And it's really helped us get on our feet. Back in 2019 when we first started it, we did not know what to expect. We were just kind of doing it just for something to do, but then also we decided that we're going to do it at the park so that it'll benefit, playground equipment at the park, which is ultimately the end goal with all of this. We're going to redo the park as well. And so yeah, that was our first BrewFest back in 2019. We made a significant amount of money as well off of that, just from a lot of the donations that came in. There were people that were there that weren't drinking because they were there for the reunion, but they just made donations. It was a phenomenal event for sure.
Amazing. So you bring up park equipment. So we kind of like to ask a question of no holds barred. If you had all the money in the world, what would the foundation be able to do? What is your
What's your white
dream
whale?
project?
Oh, we have it all laid out. It's been this way since we first started the foundation. When we got our preliminary engineering review done in 2021, our phase A goal and our number one goal from the beginning was to fix the pool. We did not want to see the pool fail. We did not want to see it close. We did not want to see any problems with the pool. So that was our number one goal. So that's our phase A goal. Our phase B goal is ultimately to rehabilitate the park, right? So the park in Chinook sort of becomes a pool when it rains. So,
Oh
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's lower than the streets, and so when it rains, it becomes literally
no.
a
Swampy.
pool. And so for us, we wanted to fix that, so that it can drain adequately. We want to fill in the park to grade, put in brand new playground equipment. We have a lot of plans with the park. So that's pretty exciting too. We're moving forward with that in our next phase. Once this pool rehabilitation is complete, we plan to move right into the park with our fundraising efforts.
amazing.
Yes.
Do you
Chinook
see
is
that?
so lucky.
Do you see that as something the foundation can like feasibly achieve within the next 5 to 10 years? Or
Yes. We are currently waiting to find out if we are the recipients of a very large grant, a $1 million grant.
ooh, fingers crossed.
If we get this $1 million grant, then we will be able to accomplish almost everything on our list.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
With the exception of the water slides. We eventually want to put in water slides. We want to do a splash pad. We want to do water slides. We want to do a lot of fun things that'll kind of make it a draw for people to come to. When you look at the perspective of outdoor water aquatics complexes across the region, there really isn't a ton of water complexes like that. You got Mitchell Pool in Great Falls, which is amazing. We love Mitchell Pool. You also have, Columbia Falls. The water slides in Columbia Falls are phenomenal. And then from on the other direction, you really don't have anything until you get to Sydney. When it comes to water complexes, and then of course Lewistown in central Montana. So for us, we thought we're in a great spot for this. A central location on the northern tier of Montana that's halfway between all Sydney and Glacier, really, I mean, it would be a phenomenal location for something of that nature. And what our main goal is to fix the pool, first of all, second of all, fix the park. But then Once we can afford it, we plan to do the splash pad and the water slides. And once that happens, we will be creating an endowment fund for this to support the financial aspect of this, because we know that pools do not make money, right? And they cost money.
And
So
if you don't do something like that, then 30, 40 years down the road, it'll be back in the same condition that you got
Yes,
it in.
somebody
So
else will be tapping into whatever Facebook
yeah.
looks like then and being
Yeah.
like, "Hey guys."
And I think if there is one thing that we have learned with all of these Montana pools is the lack of people wanting to keep it up will obviously end in deterioration. And we don't want that. We don't want to be in this same position.
Yeah,
right.
you don't want to be reactive to a
Right.
pool issue.
Proactive.
Yeah, you want
That's
to
what
be
we want to be.
proactive.
And that's our goal. Our goal is to create that endowment fund so that we don't have this problem moving forward. We want it to grow. We want it to, to be something that's going to continually make money. Um, whether it comes down to people making small donations every year, whatever that looks like, and then having that money grow. That's our main goal, is to prevent this from happening again. Chinook's pool was built in 1976. From what I understand, I believe Glasgow's pool was built the exact same year. And I also think they may have been built by the same contractor. Don't quote me on that for sure. Um, as you know, Glasgow's pool is getting redone as we speak. They are not open yet. Soon, I'm finding out maybe late fall. So we'll see. But that's pretty incredible that our pool has outlasted a pool that was built the exact same time frame. So we're pretty grateful for the city of Chinook, because over the years, Chinook has taken very good care of their pool. The city should be commended for that, because our pool is nowhere near as bad as Glasgow's pool was prior to them digging it up. They had to completely dig the entire pool up.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
What a project. Oh, man.
Yeah. Hats
yes.
off to the town of or the city of Chinook.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
amazing. Well, on that
For sure.
note, how can people get involved? How can they get tickets to BrewFest? And how can they donate to this cause?
So they can do all of that online just through chinookfriends.org. On there, we've got our event pages for all the different events that we have, all the different fundraisers that we have, which we try to be creative and think of fun things that we think people will want to do. So we're always looking for fundraiser ideas. If anybody has something fun that they want to bring to the area, we're game for looking into that with them. So yeah, you can go on there. You can make donations right on the website for chinookfriends.org. You can also get your Brewfest tickets on there. You can see where we're at. You can look at our preliminary engineering reviews. You can look at our documents. Everything's on there. Pictures, photos, all of it, of the condition of the entire project. So
Wow.
And I think just a final question, what keeps you motivated to all this?
I
What's your
didn't
driving factor here?
I didn't want to see it fail. I didn't want to see the kids of Chinook not have somewhere to go in the summer. The Chinook pool, if you've never been there in the summertime, like during the day for open swim, there are hundreds of kids there. It's crazy. Tons of kids go there every single day. And my kids go there as well, and I didn't want to see it fail. And that's really what's driven our entire board, to be honest, is we don't want to see it become a problem, and we don't want to see it not be existent. And I've been reading about what's happening in Fort Benton with their pool right now, and it just breaks my heart for that community. They don't, if they don't have a pool for their kids to go to, A, their swim team can't swim in it, B, their community kids can't swim in it. We can't have that. We can't let these communities run dry like that. We just have to get involved and become the driving force behind it. And that's just really what I think, our board is motivated to do.
Well, I
So
hope every community gets a leader like you.
yeah.
Right?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't run alone at all. No, our board is really a group of people that make it happen, and they just make it happen. No complaining. They just, yeah, it's phenomenal.
Well,
So
Heather, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your passion for the Chinook community. It is so inspiring to hear how much you care and how much time you and your team are putting into this cause.
Absolutely.
And for those that are listening that want to support the Friends of the Pool and Park, you can go check out the links in our episode notes. We will link your website in there for donation information and how to get involved. You can also find this foundation on Facebook with more information about the fun BrewFest that's coming up on July 12th.
As always, thanks for bearing with us. We'll see you in 2 weeks with more stories of hard work, heart, and hometown pride. Hometown pride. See, it's late in the day, guys. Until then, take care and keep showing up for your community.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for having me.